Safiya woke to hushed voices and the faint scent of antiseptic. For a moment, she savored the warmth of her newborn's presence, though she had yet to see him. A dull ache spread across her body, a reminder that she'd just emerged from anesthesia. The hush, however, clung to the air. Then, she overheard a chilling exchange just beyond the curtain, a nurse bargaining with a stranger over fresh placentas. Fear gripped her heart, but her maternal instinct blazed. This hospital, once revered in northern Nigeria, harbored a disturbing secret. Safiya tightened her hold on hope, determined to protect her child. The next morning, Safiya feigned calm as a cheerful nurse checked her vitals. Beneath soft reassurances, tension coiled. Each kind gesture seemed rehearsed, as though concealing shadowy intentions. Sleep had eluded her, plagued by nightmares of bartered afterbirth and silent conspiracies lurking in sterile hallways. Her husband, Umar, arrived with concern etched on his face. Safiya wrestled with how to voice her fears without sounding hysterical. Yet every thread of maternal belief urged her to speak. When she finally whispered her suspicions, Umar's eyes widened in disbelief. Cautious, yet supportive, he vowed to stand by her. Upon discharge, Safiya's heart hammered as she requested her placenta for cultural reasons. The doctor offered vague explanations, dismissing her request. His stiff smile and shallow eyes betrayed guilt, intensifying her suspicions. Meanwhile, nurses avoided her gaze, skirting questions with forced politeness that only fueled her growing unease. Back home, the atmosphere should have been joyful, but Safiya could not ignore the nagging dread. She recalled the cryptic phrases she'd overheard: fresh stock, urgent buyer. Each memory brought a chill. Determined, she soothed baby Ibrahim's whimpers, silently resolving to uncover the truth. For both of them, she refused to relent. Over supper, Safiya finally broke her silence to Umar, describing the hushed conversation and missing placentas. He listened, disbelief mixing with alarm. A once revered maternity hospital, now overshadowed by a sinister trade, felt surreal. Umar agreed to help investigate, though uncertainty lined his brow. That night, Safiya's sleep remained restless. She envisioned white-coated figures exchanging envelopes, while newborns cried unheard. In the small hours, moonlight revealed her reflection in the mirror, eyes fierce with determination. Something vile had penetrated sacred motherhood. Whatever secrets festered within hospital walls, she vowed to bring them into the light. Days later, Safiya returned for a checkup, though her real purpose was to eavesdrop. In the corridor, she caught a snippet of a tense conversation between two nurses mentioning a delivery schedule. One nurse glanced around nervously, hinting that their covert dealings might soon intensify. Safiya lurked near the pharmacy, trembling as she pieced together their coded words. Fear battled her innate courage. The hospital walls felt oppressive, but her mother's intuition fueled her perseverance. Every nurse's sidelong glance, every doctor's hushed phone call, sharpened her resolve. She would not be silenced by intimidation. Nurse Binta, known for her gentle demeanor, approached Safiya quietly. She'd noticed Safiya's anxious eyes and guessed her suspicions. With trembling hands, Nurse Binta admitted fragments of the truth. A black market ring targeted placentas, exploiting vulnerable mothers. Higher-ups enforced silence through intimidation and the threat of losing precious livelihoods. Safiya's chest tightened. This was the proof she'd needed, yet reality weighed heavily. Nurse Binta confided that she felt trapped, powerless under the hospital's dominant figures. Encouraged by Safiya's determination, she agreed to help. Together, they formed a covert alliance, daring to illuminate the darkness that plagued the maternity ward. In a dimly lit records room, Safiya rifled through patient files while Nurse Binta stood guard. Musty folders and outdated computers hinted at hidden data. She copied sections of unaccounted tissue disposals, puzzled by cryptic entries. Fear coiled in her gut, But each new clue spurred her forward. Footsteps echoed outside. Safiya froze, heart pounding, as a senior doctor's voice drifted closer. He entered an adjacent office, muttering about profits. Pressing her back against the wall, she cradled the evidence. Risk stained every breath, but Safiya knew these records offered a key to unraveling the hospital's cruel secret. Nurse Binta's shift ended abruptly that evening. She slipped Safiya a written note. "They suspect you're asking questions." Safiya's pulse raced as she read it. The hospital administration's eyes were everywhere, ready to silence dissent. She realized time was running out to secure conclusive proof. At home, Safiya hunched over the purloined files, carefully piecing together signatures and coded references. Umar stood behind her, quietly supportive. Some data pointed to individuals outside the hospital, hinting at a wider network. Unease settled around them. These powerful individuals likely had deep pockets and darker means of safeguarding secrets. Desperate for guidance, Safiya confided in her mother, Zainab. Although traditional and cautious, Zainab recognized the gravity of the situation. She recalled a friend's unexplained stillbirth case at the same hospital, fueling her own suspicions. Together, they prayed for courage, their hushed voices echoing determination beneath the quiet night. The next morning, Zainab reached out to that bereaved friend, whose story reinforced Safiya's worst fears. The hospital's indifference and veiled remarks hinted at unspeakable corruption. Safiya felt a wave of righteous anger. Each testimony strengthened her resolve, reminding her that silence would only allow the criminals to thrive. Umar arranged a discreet meeting with a local journalist named Musa. In a cluttered office, Safiya and Musa pored over the evidence. Musa, visibly shaken, acknowledged the explosive nature of the files. He cautioned them that releasing such information could invite dangerous retaliation from those profiting in the shadows. Yet Safiya refused to back down. She expressed that the hospital's reputation had already been tainted by the blood of innocent mothers. Musa agreed to investigate further, promising confidentiality. With resolve etched on her face, Safiya handed him a copy of the documents, setting the stage for a confrontation the city wouldn't ignore. As rumors spread, the hospital administration scrambled to contain the fallout. A sudden push for policy review drew staff into mandatory meetings. Safiya watched from the sidelines, feeling the tension thicken. Whispers of threatened job losses rippled through the ward, fueling suspicion and fear among nurses she had once trusted. In the midst of this, Nurse Binta was transferred to another department, effectively silencing her. Devastated, Safiya worried about her allies' safety. On a lone bench in the hospital courtyard, she resolved that even if alliances fell apart, her commitment would not waver. She carried a spark that refused to die. Late one night, Safiya's phone buzzed with a private call. The voice on the other end delivered a stark warning: "Stop prying, or you'll regret it." Her hands shook, but fear forged into steely determination. She couldn't bear to face her infant son, Ibrahim, if she simply surrendered. Still, doubt gnawed. She realized powerful figures would defend their profit streams fiercely. Umar reminded her that unveiling truth carried inherent risks. Safiya clutched Ibrahim's blanket, eyes glistening with tears. In that moment, she chose bravery over safety, promising that motherhood was a force neither threats nor secrets could overcome. Musa's investigative piece slowly took shape. He revealed labyrinthine financial transactions, suspicious overseas connections, and multiple testaments from unsettled hospital workers. Each discovery unraveled another layer of deception. Editors hesitated at first, fearing legal repercussions. Yet Musa persisted, convinced that shining light on corruption served the greater good. While waiting for the publication, Safiya kept her routines ordinary to avoid suspicion. She disguised her triumph in polite smiles during pediatric visits, even as staff members eyed her warily. Within her, an almost electric anticipation grew. Soon, the entire community would bear witness to what she already knew. One crisp morning, the local newspaper unveiled Musa's exposé. Headlines blared allegations of placenta trafficking, naming key hospital officials. Shockwaves thundered through the city. Women who had delivered there murmured in horror, recalling times their own placentas were withheld or dismissed without explanation. Unsurprisingly, hospital management denounced the report, labeling it sensational speculation. But a seed had been planted. Public pressure mounted for an official investigation. Safiya watched with a pounding heart as outraged citizens demanded answers. Her voice, once alone in the darkness, had sparked a collective roar against injustice. Fearing a cover-up, Safiya reached out to non-profit organizations focused on maternal health. Their representatives offered support, citing similar patterns of unethical practices in other regions. While the hospital's leadership hurriedly arranged press statements, legal suits loomed. Safiya realized their formidable foes would fight relentlessly to bury the scandal. Meanwhile, Umar's concern for his family's safety intensified. Doors were locked at all hours, and they kept a wary eye on the street. Still, Safiya refused to be bullied into retreat. Her courage burned brighter than ever, fueled by the voices of countless mothers who deserved truth and justice. Investigators from the health ministry descended on the hospital, demanding records and staff interviews. Tension reigned in every corridor. Rumors circulated of administrators deleting electronic files and hiding incriminating evidence. Safiya, incognito in a modest hijab, quietly volunteered her testimony, praying it might strengthen the case. Outside, crowds formed, some chanting for accountability, others concerned about exaggerations. Yet the unstoppable momentum of truth had begun to consume the hospital's pristine facade. Safiya found a bittersweet satisfaction in watching them scramble. There was no turning back now. The entire system was finally forced to confront its sins. The inquiry stretched on, revealing a complex web of monetary transactions. Several high-ranking doctors were placed on administrative leave. Whistleblowers emerged from unexpected corners, detailing shipments of placentas to undisclosed labs. Each new revelation deepened the hospital's tarnished reputation, exposing how a revered institution had become a secret marketplace. As public outrage peaked, Safiya's face no longer needed to be hidden. She was hailed as a brave mother who demanded accountability. Yet her relief was tempered by sorrow for the countless victims who never knew their sacred afterbirths were sold. The demand for justice hung heavily in the air. At a special hearing, Safiya testified before a panel of legal and medical experts. Her voice quivered initially, yet each word was a testament to her unwavering conviction. The questions came swiftly. Why had she persisted? Did she fear for her child? Still, she answered with quiet, resolute clarity. Hospital representatives tried to discredit her, but the evidence was damning. Financial statements, recovered files, and Nurse Binta's partial testimony painted a grim portrait of profit-driven malpractice. When Safiya finished, an echoing silence filled the room. She realized that motherhood had granted her more than love. It granted her unstoppable strength. In the aftermath, arrests were made, and the hospital faced sweeping reforms. Some staff resigned in shame, while others vowed to restore the institution's integrity. Whitewashed corridors that once concealed horrors now bore the weight of accountability. Safiya watched it unfold, relief mingling with the residue of lingering trauma. Yet her spirit soared knowing baby Ibrahim would grow up in a community where truth prevailed. Families began demanding to keep placentas, empowered by Safiya's stand. Old customs reclaimed their rightful place, freed from exploitation. In quiet moments, she cradled Ibrahim, grateful that hope had triumphed over darkness. Months later, Safiya stood under the hospital's newly emblazoned sign. Baby Ibrahim perched on her hip. Sunlight poured over them, illuminating walls that were once cast in shadows. although scars remained. A new dawn had risen. Mothers walked inside without fear, assured that every aspect of childbirth would be respected. As Safiya turned to leave, she felt a surge of pride. Her journey had been fraught with danger, but it had forged a powerful truth. A mother's intuition and love could topple even the darkest conspiracies. With Ibrahim cooing softly, she stepped away, carrying victory and a restored legacy in her arms. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story. See you in the next one.